Welcome to Midnight Mule FPL. I'm Midnight Mule and this is the video for Game Week 28 for the 5% series. Now we're coming up to a period where we're going to get some blanks and some doubles, but until we know who's through to the semi-final of the FA Cup, I'd suggest if possible, don't go spending any of your chips. That said, if you're going to be short of players in Game Week 29 by quite a few, then it's all right to use the free hit then if you really want to, rather than take like a 12-point hit. But otherwise, it's probably best to save your chips, but wait until we know what the games are going to be. Right, and now we're going to look at what we think of the players for Game Week 28, but before we do that, how did they get on in Game Week 27? And of course, Game Week 27 was a very long time ago, or at least it seems a long time ago. So the keepers, Sales 6, Raya 6, I think that was a 0-0 against each other. Flecken 3, Becker 6, who was amazing last night in Europe. For the defenders, Gabriel 7, Trent 6, Aina 6, Munoz 4, Kirkes 4. We have Saliba 8, Virgil van Dijk 7, Gvardiol 7, Kanate 6, Mikalenko 6. And that's all for defenders. For the midfielders, we had Kluivert 10, Rogers 7, Salah 6, and Mbeumo 5. Fernandes 10, Luis Diaz 8. For the forwards, Visser 9, Mateta 8, Watkins 5. João Pedro 8, Haaland 8. And that's all. Now for the upcoming game week 28, starting with the keepers. Now of all the positions available, the goalkeeper is the least important as far as FPL is concerned, because on average they get the lowest score, and at the moment there isn't a goalkeeper that's highly owned by anyone. So Pickford is probably the most highly owned keeper, but that's probably going to be by fewer than 25% of the managers around your rank. So if he gets 6 points, that's only minus 1.4 against you. You'll see the number in red, minus 1.4. As we look at all the players, that indicates if this player got 6 points and you don't own them, how many points against you. So Wolves could be a clean sheet, West Ham, Liverpool. Now, away to Liverpool, you'd think, they're bound to lose. But because it's a derby, crazy things could happen. Could be a 0-0, could be a 5-4. It really could be anything that. And of course, Arsenal's tough. If you've got Pickford, that's fine. If you have no keeper issues, you absolutely don't sell them. The only reason to buy a keeper this week, really, is if you had Sanchez and Fabianski. So you've got two keepers that aren't even playing, then you may as well bring one in. Otherwise, don't bother. Sales is the next most popular, but home to Man City, that's not great. But then Ipswich, Man United could be clean sheets there. Raya's generally quite good for clean sheets. He's a solid choice. He is a bit of a set and forget, quite expensive. Henderson will be popular, probably from game week 30. He got Southampton, Brighton, but he's got a double in game week 32, which is a bit far in the distance. Home to Ipswich this week, so if you've got him, well done, make it a clean sheet. However, he blanks next game week, so don't go buying him. And then Flecken at 0.7, Brentford. Personally, I wouldn't be buying him. If I had to buy a keeper and money wasn't an issue, I'd quite possibly buy Raya just as a set and forget. But, like I said, absolutely don't go changing your keeper. Then the second page of keepers, Becker's did brilliant yesterday in Europe. He's got some very nice fixtures coming up, but again, he blanks next game week. So if you've got him, that's great. Some really nice fixtures. And I'd even say if you had Becker and, for example, Fabianski, I would probably be tempted to keep him and just not even play a keeper next game week, because you've probably got other things you need to deal with. Martinez, I looked yesterday. I think in the Premier League, he might have had 2 clean sheets so far this season. So he's expensive and he is a good keeper, but Villa just aren't keeping clean sheets and he's not worth the money. So don't buy either of those, neither have a fixture next game week. And then Ward represents any 4 million keeper, albeit he's 3.9 at the moment, doesn't play. Fabianski's not playing. For the defenders, Trent is still the most important. And if you don't own him, the chances are if he gets 6 points, that's like minus 3.7 against you. He's playing Southampton at home. That could be a 12-pointer. Then that's going to be minus 7.4 points against you. However, he blanks next game week and he's expensive. So if you don't have him, I'd suggest you don't go buying him this game week. If you have got him, I'd say he's absolutely worth keeping hold of. I know some managers are selling him because they're trying to release money to do other things. Personally, I wouldn't be selling him, and he's a very important player to have at the moment, I'd say. Gabriel, he's owned by, what's that, about 40% of players around your rank, chances are. It's good to have somebody from Arsenal in the back. He's got some attacking potential. And because he's highly owned, if you don't own him, that's going to be a problem. Then Munoz, I'm saying don't buy him because he blanks next game week. However, he's doing very well with his attacking returns at the moment. Always a chance of a clean sheet. So you could buy him. If you can buy him and you're only benching 3 players for next game week, then that might be all right, as in game week 29. It may even be worth having him for Ipswich and Southampton and being a player down for next game week. But that's a risk because what if Ipswich scores and Munoz does nothing, and then Southampton score and Munoz does nothing? You've used a transfer, he's had a blank, and you've got no points from him. But he is a very good defender. If it wasn't for the blank next game week, he'd be green in a definite buy. But if you think a transfer is worth 4 points, you're going to spend 4 points and you've got a blank next game week. But he is a good player. And if you've got him, great, absolutely, obviously keep him. Robinson's dropping in popularity. The Fulham fixtures between now and the end of the year aren't particularly great, but there is a chance they're going to get a double, depending how they get on in the FA Cup. So he's all right to hold on to. Absolutely don't go buying Robinson. But before you sell him, if you want to move him on, just be aware there could be a double later on. Now, the double will probably come after you play your next wild card, so you could always bring him back. So it's all right to do that, but something may happen where you have to use your wild card after that, or else maybe you've already used your second wild card. Kirkes, all right, away to Tottenham. Wouldn't be buying him for 5 million this game week for sure anyway, but he's all right. Aina, Forest haven't been so good defensively recently. Got Man City this week, so obviously don't go buying him. Second page defenders, Virgil van Dijk, very good. If you've got him, that's fine. He's expensive. If he scores 6 points, it's only minus 0.7 against you. So he's not a threat to your rank. He's very expensive considering his ownership. So you could absolutely use the money elsewhere. So if you've got him, he's fine to keep at home to Southampton. But I suggest you'd want to move him on next game week. And then Saliba, similar chances to Gabriel's. Slightly less chance of getting the points, I guess. But very lowly owned. So if you wanted one Arsenal person at the back, it would be Gabriel you should go for. Or Raya, but Gabriel's probably going to score more. And then Mikolenko used to be very popular, but he's basically just bench fodder. He's not going to hurt your rank. Konate's not going to hurt your rank. Liverpool have got a good chance of getting quite a few clean sheets between now and the end of the season, but he's not playing next game week. Aït-Nouri, so nice and attacking, and Wolves can keep some clean sheets, but of course they've lost Kuna now for 3 game weeks at least. So that may slightly dent his attacking potential. Gvardiol, although he's 5.9 million, so he has dropped in value over the last several weeks. He's probably going to start gaining in value. There's a very good chance Man City are going to double later in the season, in which case lots of people are going to be buying Gvardiol, assuming he stays fit. So if you got nothing else to do and you wanted to buy him, that would be okay kind of as an investment, but you're probably going to wildcard before the Man City double, in which case you probably don't need to worry about him. But he's all right. And then Pedro Porro massively drops in popularity. He's fine to not bother with. If you've got him, that's all right. I wouldn't go buying him. Third pacey defenders. So Konza, don't go buying him. He blanks next game week. Hardly anyone owns him. Even if you've got 20 points, that's really not going to hurt your rank. And you didn't own him. Then just bench fodder. Greaves used to be popular. He's now 3.9 million. Woutface also 3.9 million. Mazrael's 4.3, but he's basically bench fodder. But if you've got him, the chances are some game weeks you would want to play him. Lewis Hall is out for the season now with a foot injury. If you've got him, you sell him. No point having him at all. And then Burn, basically nobody owns him now. Don't go buying him. It's not worth buying him. If you got him, he's right to play, but he blanks next game week. And then Harwood Bellis, 4 million. He's basically bench fodder, but don't go buying him. He's not worth having. So midfielders, Salah. Everyone owns Salah. Don't sell Salah. So that's been my mantra the last few game weeks. I'm aware that next game week, there are a lot of managers saying they are going to sell him to finance a move to Haaland. I'm pretty certain I won't be doing that, but we can talk about that next game week. But for now, you want to be holding on to Salah. So Palmer, his popularity is going down quite a lot. He's now only 4.8. So if you don't have Salah and he scores 6 points, that's like you get -6. If you don't own Palmer and you get 6 points, that's like you get -4.8. So Palmer is a good player. He's blanked the last several game weeks. He's at home to Leicester this game week, and then it looks like his next fixtures are a bit more tough. But he could start scoring at any point. So definitely don't sell him this game week. It may be next game week you want to sell him to release funds to maybe try and buy Haaland or do something else. A lot of managers, I think, will be doing that. I don't know yet if I will. I suspect I won't, but I don't know for sure. But at the moment, he's worth having. Probably wouldn't be bringing him in because his form's not been great for FPL in the recent weeks, but absolutely he's a good player. I'm still going to say he's a good player, even though he's not been great recently. Mbeumo's consistently been a good player, worth having. More often than not, he's going to score some decent points, and he's highly owned. If he scores 6 points, that's like -4.2 against you. Kluivert is also very popular, more than 50% owned around your rank. So these 4 midfielders on your screen at the moment, a lot of managers around your rank are going to have all 4 of these, and definitely at least 3 of these. So if any of these do well and you don't own them, that's going to hurt your rank. And the way to do okay at FPL, and this whole series is about doing okay, is you want to have the right highly owned players. And then Rodgers, although he scored last game week, he is dropping in popularity. If you've got him, he's fine to sell away to Brentford, and then he blanks. So if you wanted to switch him for someone else, that's fine. You don't have to sell him. He's all right every game week. But like I said, blanking next game week, his ownership is going to go down a lot. Odango, so when we first introduced Otato Odango, and I said his name wrong, we knew at the time it was risky, and his minutes were a minute's risk with Bournemouth players coming back. Now managers are starting to get a bit worried about him. He's probably going to get some decent minutes. Good chance of not getting 90 minutes though. So don't go buying him. You don't have to sell him. You could probably keep him till your wild card in, let's say probably game week 31. But at the moment, he's all right. I'd say don't go buying him. Semenyo, however, is an all right player to have. So they're both down as Bournemouth midfielders, but Semenyo should get better minutes. So he's got more chance of getting decent attacking returns. The fixtures are all right. Next page of midfielders. So where he's nice and cheap, he's basically bench fodder at 4.6. But at this moment in time, because of Arsenal injuries, he is getting good game minutes. But within the next 2 or 3 weeks, Saka's going to be back, Martinelli will be back, and he's probably going to get benched. So don't go buying him, or if you do go buying him, it's just to release cash. Don't expect anything from him after the next 1 or 2 game weeks. But he's fine to have. So Luis Diaz, he's a good player. Home to Southampton, could get some good points. But they just played PSG yesterday. They're going to play them 6 days later, so early next game week. There's a reasonably high chance that if Liverpool are doing well, say at half time or after 50 minutes, maybe 3-4-0 up, a load of players are going to get taken out. So he may not get a whole load of minutes. There's also a chance that Liverpool are going to play a lot of almost second string players, like maybe Darwin, start Elliott, who scored yesterday, and Luis Diaz may start on the bench. So a lot of Liverpool players are a little bit risky this coming game week. Personally, I suspect, and this is just me, Slot will put out a very strong team because he'd rather get the game won before he takes them off. Playing a second string team and then having to bring the players on, I think is a bit more dodgy, and I think Slot actually seems quite careful. Don't go buying Luis Diaz. Absolutely don't go buying him. And if you've got him, you may be wanting to sell him next game week. But I wouldn't sell him this game week, not when he's got Southampton. Fernandes, he's a good player. He's at home to Arsenal. Don't worry about that. He can score in any game. If United score, there's a reasonable chance he's involved because he is their main person. Enzo was highly owned. Now he's not. He's not going to hurt your rank. None of the players on your screen are going to hurt your rank if you don't own them. So you don't have to fear any of these. And of these, any of these I'd be happy to be owning this game week. Enzo's at home to Leicester. Reasonable chance of getting some points there. So Gordon picked up a red card, very stupidly, in the FA Cup last weekend. So he suspended the next 3 game weeks. Then he's back in game week 31 for Leicester. And a lot of managers would be wildcarding then and bringing him in. So if you've got him, he's useless for 3 weeks. He's going to drop in value. And if you wildcard in 31, you'd bring him in then anyway. So he's absolutely fine to be moving on and getting a player who's going to play. Dibbling, bench fodder. He's very good bench fodder, but he's just nice and cheap. Son, nobody owns Son or Gordon or Dibbling, more or less. So if Son got 50 points, it's not going to hurt your rank if you don't own him. But he is a good player, but he's expensive. The reason people don't own him is because he's so expensive for what he gives. But he's a good player. Isak, he's dropping in popularity, but he is a good player, but he blanks next game week. People are concerned about his injury status. Will he be fit enough to play? Personally, I'm expecting him to play this coming game week. So I'm definitely not selling him. If you do sell him and he ends up playing, there's a reasonable chance it's going to hurt your rank by not owning him. He does blank next game week, so some managers will be selling him now to release some money, but they're going to miss out on West Ham. He may be injured, blanking next game week, missing out home to Brentford, and then they'll probably buy him back in game week 31 on their wild card when they're away to Leicester. I wouldn't be selling him, but you could if you want to. The chances are you've got more important things to do though. And then Chris Wood, he's still gaining in popularity. He's not as popular as Isak at the moment, but at least he's playing next game week when we're short of players, and it is against Ipswich. So he's all right to have. And the chances are he's going to do all right between now and the end of the season. Visser, he's popular, but look, if he scores 6 points, you don't own him, that's minus 1.5 against you. If you don't own Chris Wood, that's minus 4.2 against you. Nearly 3 times as bad. So at the moment, Isak and Wood are the most important forwards for you to have if you can get to them. But Visser is a perfectly good forward, gaining in popularity a bit. Home to Villa this week, away to Bournemouth next game week. Watkins dropping in popularity. If he gets 6 points, you only lose 1 point, so not too bad. And he blanks next game week. So lots of managers will be selling him this game week, next game week. Beto, nice and cheap for an active forward, probably on penalties. Could get an attacking return in any games. Wolves and West Ham, very nice. He's all right. He's pretty good actually. For 5 million, that's pretty good value. Mateta, so he got on the wrong end of a very nasty foul on the FA Cup. We don't know for sure, at least last I saw, we don't know for sure that he's out for this coming game week, but he almost certainly is. There's a concussion protocol, which means he can't play for the next 8 games, but I've not heard that he was concussed, therefore under that. So assume he's not playing, but there's a remote chance he is, and he's blanking next game week. But if you sell him now, you probably won't get him back until game week 31, home to Brighton, but it means you're missing the away to Southampton game, but we don't know for sure that he's going to be playing in that. As far as I'm aware, his injury was physically to his ear. Apart from that, he's physically fine to run around, kick a ball and everything else. So he may well play and just have big padding on his ear. I don't know. We'll see. Basically, if you've got him, he's all right to sell because a lot of people will probably be selling in this game week. But you don't have to because remember, it's going to use a transfer. So Kuna, he's an interesting one. He's out for at least 3 game weeks. There's speculation that his sentence, his ban, may be extended because he's done silly things before. Probably worth selling, but you don't have to. Definitely worth selling if you're going to be short of players next game week. You may as well, for example, swap him for Chris Wood or Visser or even Beto and release some money. But if you got enough players for next game week and you wanted to hold on to him to save a transfer, that's okay. But if you're wildcarding in game week 31, then you could bring him in then if you wanted to. And then the less popular forwards, João Pedro, he's been doing all right recently, but people are always worried about what his minutes going to be like. But he's all right. I'd say don't buy him, but if you've got him, he's nice and cheap. He could get you some points. Gakpo wasn't even in the squad last night. I suspect he's not playing tomorrow, but rather this game week. But I don't know that. It might be he's on the bench and he comes on for a little bit at the end. If you've got him, would I sell him? You'll be selling him next game week anyway. I'd say he's fine to sell if you've got someone else you'd rather have. And he's not going to hurt your rank. If you sell him and he does well, if he got 12 points, it's only minus 1.4 against you. So that's really not too much of a problem. Haaland, he's really not very popular at the moment, but he is gaining in popularity. Next game week, a good number of managers will be buying him. Wildcard game week 31, it looks like at the moment lots of managers will be buying him. Some will be buying him game week 30 as well. So at the moment, you completely don't need to worry about Haaland hurting your rank if he does well and you don't own him. But it may be in the next 2 or 3 game weeks, I'll be saying Haaland's the most popular forward. You need to try and get him if you can. But at the moment, you don't need to worry about him. Raul Jimenez, nice and cheap. He's not going to hurt your rank if he does well. And I think he's probably still injured. Vardy, no one owns him, but he is nice and cheap. Penalty taker, he is a good player. And then Cannon represents any 4.5 million forward that doesn't even play. Sometimes you need someone like Cannon to make your squad work, and he just sits on your bench. And you can't actually buy Cannon because he's out of the system at the moment. So we're going to look at benching order now. I'm going to show you my suggestion for the benching order, but you do whatever you like. This is just what I think. And I'm only looking at the players that I've just shown you. The first player you see that you've got, I suggest you put on your bench, which means your other keeper, in this case, is the one you're going to play. So Fabianski doesn't play. Ward represents any 4 million keeper that doesn't play. Martinez has been rubbish recently. Then it'd be Flecken at home to Villa, Sales at home to Man City, Rare away to Man United, Pickford away to Wolves, Henderson at home to Ipswich, and then Becker at home to Southampton. Regarding the other players, the first player you see that you've got, I suggest is position 3 in your bench, the next one position 2, and the last one position 1. So Kuna's not playing, 4.5 million strikers not playing, doesn't play. Gordon's not playing. Howard Bell is not worth having. Can't remember if he even plays at the moment. Andy is injured. Then it's Byrne, Outfaced, Greaves, Mazraoui, Konza, Dibbling, Aina, Mikalenko, Kirkes, Robinson, Saliba, Pedro Porro, Aït-Nouri, Konate, Odango. Then Vardy, Raul Jimenez, Beto, Nwaneri, Rogers, João Pedro, Enzo, Virgil van Dijk, Gvardiol, Gabriel, Semenyo, Munoz, Kluivert, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Watkins, Mateta almost certainly isn't going to play. But if you've got him and you keep him, what if he does come on? Then he's probably going to do all right. And if it is literally his ear got all cut up, he's going to be physically fine to be running around and doing things. So if I had Mateta and I wasn't getting rid of him, I think I would play him in the hope that he does something. But the chances are he won't. Same with Gakpo. He's at home to Southampton. If he does play, he could get something. If you're holding on to Gakpo, you really should be starting him, I think. Otherwise, what's the point of holding on to him? He's a lot of money-ish. Then it's Chris Wood, Son, Fernandes and Luis Diaz. Regarding the captaincy, Salah, I think, is a decent shout for the old Mule hat. He could be your captain at home to Southampton. He's a bit of a minute's risk in that he may be coming off early, and a lot of his points do seem to come later in the game. However, he probably won't get brought off until they're at least 2 goals up, in which case there's been a reasonable chance he's been involved in some goal mouth action. Palmer possibly got more chance of getting more points because he's probably going to be on for 90 minutes. So either of these are going to be a good call. However, Salah is probably going to be the most popular choice, which means he's going to be the safer choice. Personally, I'm almost certainly going to be going for Salah, but both of these are good choices. If you want someone else, Mbeumo is a good choice for midfield. As for the forward, Haaland, if you've got that money tied up in Haaland, he's all right to captain. As is Isak, but he's a bit of an injury risk. I suspect he's going to play though. And even Visser's all right. But it really is about the first two, Salah and Palmer. Any of these are okay as captain. Any are okay as vice captain. If you don't want to do 2 of these, or you can't, any of the green forward or midfielders on the previous pages, they're all right as well. As for the background picture, it's Michelangelo's birthday today. The very famous artist did the Sistine Chapel, and you might have seen the statue of David, for example. And so there's a picture of Michelangelo drawn in the style, apparently, of Michelangelo. there we have it. What happened in Game Week 27 and what I think of the various popular players and once popular players for Game Week 28. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good weekend. And I've been really ill this week. Thanks. Bye.